Thanks, Bob. Oh, he missed his correspondence. We're not doing it again. All right, that's all the correspondence I have. We all have had opportunity to review the minutes that were submitted by Karen to us many weeks ago for the November meeting, and covered a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
And need a second?
Second.
Discussion, corrections, additions, deletions? None. Everybody's comfortable that Karen did an accurate job. Okay, that being said, Bob, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right, financials. We all should have, at this point, had opportunity to review the vouchers. I covet, please, a motion to pay the bills per the second abstract that was submitted by Bob Simon, which includes the Ulster, what is it? What was the last one, Bob?
Uniform.
Yeah, Ulster Uniform Service for the rugs that get replaced every 2 weeks. So a motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Going once. Going twice. All righty then. That being said, Kevin, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right, let me see. We did make the transactions on the boat and on the trailer. I see that Bob deposited that money in the general fund savings account. Is that correct, Bob Simon?
That's correct.
I would move that money be transferred to the equipment purchase reserve fund. And covet a second for purposes of discussion.
Second.
All righty. I think that's the fund that's a little that's on the light side, and it makes sense to me that if we are selling equipment, that we put that money back into the fund to purchase other equipment. I don't know if anybody else has any different perspectives. I welcome anything that anybody might have to say.
Do it.
We got to do it. Russ, what do you think?
Logical way to go.
Kevin?
Good idea.
All right, how you do, Mike?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. There's a motion on the floor. I don't know exactly when you came in.
I missed most of it.
We received the monies for the boat and the trailer, and I made a motion to put them into the equipment purchase reserve fund.
Sounds perfect.
All right, so that being said, Mike, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries.
So that's $3,591, right?
That was the 1660 plus the 1930.
31.
31. Okay.
Just
Yeah,
for the
so-
record is what I'm saying.
Yep. So Bob, you're gonna make that transfer.
Yes. I will.
And Mr. Paskoff, the preferred method is to write a check, yes, from Jim?
Yes,
To write a check for Bob to write a check from the general fund to the equipment purchase?
Yes.
fund? Okay,
and
Thank
Bob,
you.
it comes out of the income account.
Okay, got it.
thank you. All right, I have had, and as has everyone else had, the opportunity to review the bank statements, and I do find that they are in agreement with the balance sheet as put forward by Mr. Pasakoff to the penny. So I would therefore move that we accept the financials. Covered a second.
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 Any discussion? Quiet group. Bob, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Russ,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Anything else of a financial nature for Mr. Pasikoff?
Steve, it's the last meeting of the year. Jim, do we have anything that we need to be looking at, finishing up the year? The funds look okay to carry us through to tax time?
I think there, you got plenty of cash to, you should do real well for this year. I'm thinking maybe you'll end up with maybe 100,000 left over. Maybe between 90 and 100,000. And I think that should be good. And you have plenty of cash to get you to the taxes in 2021.
Right. Just with that 100,000, that's already, some of that's already allocated. This isn't for you, Jim. This is for everybody else that may be listening. We've got insurances that are coming in March. We got to make sure we can meet those. And that'll come out of that 100,000. All our insurances will be due on March 1st.
Right, but that's just cash flow. The actual P&L for 2020 is what Jim's talking about. We'll have
Right,
that
you-
surplus.
You'll have a
Okay.
surplus, and that'll just get that'll add to the fund balance. And
Right, so at the end of, we carried like a $54,000 surplus, 10% of the budget over from the previous fiscal year. So we're gonna have to make a decision what we want to do with that surplus when we
Yeah,
have the
we're-
cash to do so.
It's early, but we're really low on equipment. We only got 200,000 in there for the machinery.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't say this flippantly, although it may sound that way. One of the options is to spend it, because we have some proposals. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just saying, but you do have proposals for architectural services. There's talk of a new ambulance. If it's in the general fund, correct me anytime I'm wrong, Rod. If it's in the general fund and not been committed to a reserve fund, we could spend that without permissive referendum. Is that correct? You're on mute. Thumbs
that's
up.
correct. This is Jim. That's correct.
All right. Just wanted to clarify that. And I know, Bob Simon, you have made every effort to get every bill that you possibly could into and onto that abstract. So I do appreciate that. If we have any big bills come in before the end of the year, we may end up having a quick meeting because I want to try to get everything into 2020 that we possibly can. Okay, so Bob, you'll keep us abreast of that.
Okay.
All right, anything
Steve?
else for, yes,
It's not really a problem if the bill is for items in 2020. We'll pick it up as accounts payable at the end in 2021.
so you'll
Didn't we
show it
get
as a
gigged on that?
liability.
We'll get the liability in there, and it'll count against this year's funds. If you
Okay.
can spend it, all the better. If you can write the check for it, all the better. But it doesn't really make any difference.
Yeah,
Didn't we get hit on the audit with doing that last year? We did.
Nah,
Well, because I think we put it in the wrong year or something.
Yeah, we did it the wrong year.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right, any other questions for Jim Pasikoff? All right, well, Jim, you're free to hang around.
no, that's all right. I want to look out the window and wait for snow.
Yeah, it better snow or I'm gonna be in big trouble.
Anyway, have a good holiday.
Thank
You
you,
too.
you as well.
Merry Christmas.
All right, Mr. Estes, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me all right here at the firehouse?
We can hear you quite well. What do you have to say for yourself?
Well, on the same that you were just, I'll do on that subject, as requested for the additional gear. Steve, you should have the invoices on that to put Bob, with Bob to include that in the 2020 budget as we discussed?
All right, well, we can bring that up in a moment. I'll get to that. I wrote it down.
Okay, so you did get my emails on that with the estimates from MES.
It was an estimate, or did we actually purchase it?
We didn't purchase it.
We did.
No, we got the estimates for the aforementioned gear for Chris and a spare set of gear for decon purposes and 2 new chief coats. And I got that from MES yesterday and sent it to you at the same time.
I have it. So
Okay,
we'll,
good.
We'll review that momentarily, but you have the
Okay.
floor.
All right. 12 calls for the month, 102 for the year. So at this point, we are 23 over our fire calls for the total of last year, and we'll see what happens. So we are at what's that, about 14% more than last year. Extrication tools were serviced a week or two ago. No concerns, no major repairs, because we've been running all the tools, including the multi-tool, on a regular basis. So they found no deficiencies in our extrication tools. And FYI, the bridge on Hollow Road, which is east of George Court, near Arch House, over the Little Wappingers Creek there, is going to be replaced in 2022. They already contacted me about the size of our vehicles. They will be putting temporary road there. So they contacted me and asked the weights and all this. So it's not going to be the horror story of Fiddler's Bridge, but that's going to be replaced in 2022. The directive have been met as requested by Steve and the board, and masks are now required in the firehouse and in the rigs. If you got anybody in the rig with you, I'm not wearing a mask on alone. I see those people driving down the road. If you drive by yourself, yeah, okay, fine. We did the makeup modules last night as required. Those are the ones, the 5 or 6 modules. So at this point, there's only very minimum people that did not make that. It's been posted. So makeup modules are done, and the requirement to respond sheet was updated last night afterwards and is posted, and we're in pretty good shape with that. There will be 2 drills this month. The fire drill will be on 12/21, and the EMS drill will be on 12/22, and Sue or Bob can speak on the latter. On our drill, we are going to be doing a yearly review and do some different exercises, SCBA exercises, and time permitting, we may do some extrication exercises. So there still will be 2 drills this month. Responding members to EMS calls who are basically, we're going to say standby members to assist, have been advised to stand by the ambulance and wait for direction and never to enter the house unless they're needed to be there because of the COVID. So we do have members, fire department members, who do come to the scene to assist, but they have been advised of the safety concerns. As aforementioned, the boat is gone, and we're working on places to put our immersion suits, which is a real burden to figure it out. I've got one in the chief car. There's one in the ambulance. There's one in the rehab vehicle. There's no room on 12. There's 2 in 63. It's a burden to try to figure that one out, but we will. Steve, you're going to give the update on a decon room. I talked about the additional gear, and that's all I have.
All right, very good. I'm guessing that Mr. Bastrick is not present given the nature of the forecast.
Steve, I
No,
got 2
but
questions.
Mr. Russell is here.
All right, I
Steve?
think Bob might have a question.
Yeah. Hey, Don, are you working on the number of interior firefighters on the AMR?
I responded to Steve last night.
Yeah, I don't have it though, and I got to talk to the insurance company.
Yeah, we gotta
I
figure
re-
that out because we didn't come up with the same number, so,
I show 8. I mean, I look at the active duty sheet and, give me the LoSAP sheet, Kevin, and I can, tell you right now, as far as it is, and it's gonna be off of the LoSAP sheet. Is that not correct, Bob?
No, you want it on the active member roster.
Okay, hold on. That's not that's up to Ed, who's here on the active duty roster. I don't maintain that.
Well, your guys
However,
gotta-
anybody who is on the active duty roster would be on that. Is that not correct?
No, it is not. The AMR's got to look back in time for all firefighters that are active. They can be exterior and they get cancer insurance. If somebody's out on medical, but he was an interior, he's on it. People that have left the company for 5 years, we've on that AMR list, we've got to maintain their names because we're,
All right. Okay.
yeah.
Again,
So
I
it's
don't
gotta-
maintain the AMR, so I don't have access to it, but I could, if somebody lets me see it, I don't even have an AMR. I could define what you're looking for if I had it, but I don't.
all right,
Okay,
but
if you
so
could,
we've got Kevin Russell. We've got, he was at one point interior, is that correct?
Yeah, how far back do you go, Steve?
If he's active and he was interior, I think he's on the list, is that
yeah, to
correct?
be active interior for 5 years, and then you're
Okay.
on the list.
Okay, in other words, let's say I got old Ed Olson here, who hasn't been interior for at least a decade. Does he stay on the list?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty easy stuff because I'd have that on this. But again, I don't have the active member roster. That's maintained by the company, not the chief.
I just emailed it to you.
Right. Talk to Kevin. I'll look at it.
All right, but so anybody, so you have the 8 people who are active interior right now. You've got Kevin, Ed, and there has to have been at least one other who is currently active and was for 5 years an interior firefighter. Oscar, was he one?
Oscar and Ed both were.
Oscar, Ed, and Kevin then would be the 3 that make 11.
There you
Okay,
go.
that's good. So we need to
That's
get
it
that
then.
AMR updated.
All right, so Ed, are you there?
Yes.
All right, so please, I just forwarded Don a copy of the active member roster. We have 8 people on that roster who are active interior firefighters. To that list, or on that list, you should designate yourself, Mr. Burkowski, and Mr. Russell as eligible for this cancer insurance, given the fact that you are still active and have in your lifetime been an interior firefighter for at least 5 years.
Okay.
All right.
I just sent it to Ed, so he's got it.
All right.
Yeah, just so everybody's on the same page, it's the district and the company that has to maintain those records. The insurance company just wants a number of people.
All right. And I have something here from Homeland Security and Emergency Services, Volunteer Firefighter Enhanced Cancer Disability Benefits Program attestation proof of benefits that we have to fill in
Mine.
and submit before January 1st. Is that correct, Karen?
Yes.
All right. And you and I had gotten there was this, what did we submit by December 1st?
We had to submit the roster of people that are eligible for the cancer insurance.
All right. Okay.
Steve, Rod's
Yeah.
got something.
Who has something?
Rod,
Rod, what you got?
Before you leave the LoSAP, I have something to tell you.
Go.
The law has changed.
Oh, dear.
If you recall, previously, we had to have had a physical when we first started the fire service, which would have meant, people like me and you didn't have a physical when we joined 40 years ago. That law has changed. You can have a physical now. and then serve 5 years, and then you'll be covered under the cancer insurance.
But
The
do you
one-
have to look for the cancer? That's the question that's always been out there.
That question is still out there. They haven't solved that problem yet.
Okay,
But it used to be that someone who's had, 15 years of service in it, they didn't have a physical before they joined the fire service, they were not covered. The change makes sense. Now people that had 15, 20 years worth of service can have a physical now. And if there's no cancer and you don't have cancer for 5 years, you will then be covered. Secondly, the law changed to include exterior firefighters as well as interior firefighters,
mandatory?
mandatory.
Ah,
That was one of the big problems in the old bill, is that, guys standing outside the building were breathing in the same smoke that the guys inside the building were breathing, but they were not covered. Now exterior firefighters are covered along with interior.
I thought,
got a question. Pump operators, they may not have firefighter one, but they're right in the thick of it with everybody else.
They're exterior firefighters.
didn't we just get some written material that said that, I seem to remember reading it, that said that it was optional if we wanted to give it to exterior.
I don't know what you received, so I really can't comment on that.
Anybody else remember that? I remember reading something just recently where they
I
said that,
recall you commenting on that, Russ.
That is correct, Russ, but what Rod just said, the law changed. So now it's mandatory for exterior. And Steve, we've got to add the drivers that are pump operators to it. So we probably have to go to 13 individuals.
Well, we have, who do we have? Well, and here's another question for you, Rod, just to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
EMTs breathe the same smoke.
Well, everybody is an active firefighter. You've got designated interior ones, and then you have several other categories that are probably all exterior. I mean, even your fire police out on the road, they're exterior firefighters because they're not interior.
And the law mandates that we all have to put everybody on it?
Yes, correct. Now, if you have someone that is just a rescue squad member and not an active firefighter, arguably they would not be mandatory.
But what about a driver who's not an active firefighter, doesn't have firefighter one?
If he's not an active firefighter, he can't be a driver.
We need to talk about this offline.
Define active firefighter, Rod.
Yeah,
I got it here. An active firefighter. General Municipal Law 215.1. And definition of an active firefighter is currently active members of a fire department or company that are currently active members, subject to call for whatever duties may be assigned to them under the rules and regulations of the department or company.
So right, wrong, or indifferent, it's irregardless of qualifications.
An active volunteer firefighter is a person who has been approved as an active member of a fire department or fire company by the authorities in control of the department or company, and who is faithfully and actually performing service in the protection of life and property from fire and other emergency.
and
That
no,
would seem also to clarify Linda Flanagan's question, would it not?
That's right.
it also means that we've got to put it, if that law is changed the way Rod's, I think I'm hearing, everybody in the company's got to get the cancer insurance.
All right, so is it the same cancer insurance or is it different?
It's the same cancer insurance that is now currently out there.
So how, and again, how would that disqualify EMTs and rescue squad members who are responding faithfully for calls, blah, 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 what you said, and breathing the same smoke? And I'm being difficult.
There are fire districts where the rescue squad and the firefighters are separate. I don't believe that's the case in East Clinton.
But if you go back to the thing about interior fire department, interior members who served 5 years as an interior, they then qualify. But now you're saying exterior are also covered. Do they have a limit of how many years they've had to have service or something? It sounds like you got a lot more severe for.
No,
interior.
they need the 5 years. The only thing that's changed is the expansion of the individuals that are covered, not the time tables for when they are entitled to coverage.
So it sounds like anybody that's a member, whether they're rescue squad, whether they're fire police, whether they're interior, exterior, if they've got 5 years of service with the department, they now are qualified for cancer coverage.
That's correct.
Bob, do you have what you need to look through the active member roster and what this is effective when, and when does this take place, Rod?
Oh, that's a good question. I'll get back to that. I'll get back to you in a moment on that.
Okay,
Not at this time, Steve. We got to go through some of the newer members, that 5-year point, unless the AMR has their date of commencement on it. I think it may.
I think it does.
yeah, it does, it does. It does. I think you could look through the active member roster and make a determination what that's going to be in dollars and cents and present it at the January meeting.
But yeah. Okay. I'll get you some numbers. I'll talk to Linda and we'll
Right,
go from there.
and that was general municipal law, what, Ron? So that Bob can reference that when he talks to Linda?
The definition of active volunteer firefighter is General Municipal Law, Section 215, Paragraph 1.
215, paragraph 1, Bob, you got that?
I do.
All right, so you're gonna call Linda. And Don,
Yeah.
we're still on your report, although we've gotten off on a bit of a tangent. You did say, and I'm just repeating that, any members in jeopardy of losing their active member status due to not making the required participation in 6 drills and the modules, call levels, etc., you have posted their names and they should be aware. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. We have 2 members who are, as far as the 5% are lacking. Only 2 members as far as the 5%. Yeah, I'll say that. Yes, I'll say 2 members is the 5%. And there are, as far as active members, there are 2 that are in, as far as making their modules and drills there that are problematic at this point.
All right, and they're aware. All right, any other questions?
Oh, they're aware. Everybody's aware. Steve, you've been at every company meeting. I preach it at every meeting.
I like to ask questions so that it gets entered in the minutes, and Karen is very faithful at doing so.
Oh, she's wonderful.
Okay, Kevin Russell, please.
The brakes on 71 are getting repaired on Friday by juniors. I called Fleet Pride again, and then he keeps pushing it for one excuse to another. So juniors, I took a copy of the VIN number and the year, and he said no problem, he would get it taken care of.
This is the rear brakes.
Correct. I do not know if he does inspections. I will find that out.
All right, I know you've said you've been having some trouble since Goose's was bought out by Fleet Pride getting any kind of service at all.
Well, yeah, he did. If he's busy, if he's got other stuff, then he's just pushing us off. And
All right, so you're giving juniors at Stanford a try.
Correct.
I'm good with that. We need somebody that's going to give us service. Anybody have any? You have anything else, Kevin?
The only thing else I got to remind you about the light in the men's room and the light in the chief's office that's intermittent on, not coming on.
And there's a light in the meeting room, I believe.
No, I changed the bulbs. That was all right.
That one's good? All right, thanks.
Yep.
All right, any questions for Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin, have you gotten a good test run on the generator since I change the pressure sensor for oil?
Bob, I ran it for 2 hours before it shut off yesterday.
It did shut off by itself?
Yep, in 2 hours.
Well, that's a 300% improvement.
Yeah, but it's the, assume the problem is still there then. Could still be a low pressure for the oil pump, but we need to get those codes off of that machine to press on to the next step.
All right, we will work with you and figure out how to get those codes. All right, any other questions for Kevin? All right, Susan, what do you got?
Okay, let's see. Okay, we're here. So we had 13 calls for the month, bringing us up to a total of 127 for the year. Plus we had 3 MVAs last month. We're certainly rocking and rolling it. That's all I can say. I looked at the numbers for the entire year for what our responses are, and the percentage is actually at 95% for us responding and transporting. So it's remarkable for the team that we have. Other than that, we've got the drill, as Don spoke about, we've got the drill, the EMS drill is going to be on the 22nd, and we're going to actually do it as a full CPR code, a working code. So we'll review, since everybody is CPR certified, the fire and obviously the EMS, and we're just going to work it as and practice it as a code. So.
All right, well, we've had a couple of practices, not real practices, but
Well,
actually
yeah,
real events in the last couple months.
Exactly. And so, of course, with COVID, that there are a couple of other, changes in our protocols. We just want to make sure that we're really clear on that and working it when we need to.
All righty. Any questions for Susan?
Okay. And I'm assuming that you want to talk about the ambulance at a further time in the meeting.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right. Membership. I'm gonna try something daring and unafraid. We gotta go to executive session here. And I'm gonna try breakout rooms. And hopefully everybody can hear me, because if I foul the whole thing up, you're just all gonna have to sign back into the meeting, okay? Unless Bob Simon, you know how to do it.
Yeah, but I think you have to initiate it, Steve.
All right, so breakout rooms.
You can do breakout
Allow
rooms.
10 participants into one room. I'm gonna create a room here. And I'm gonna breakout room 1.
And make sure you turn off record.
Yeah, I will do. I haven't figured it out yet, so.
So then you move the commissioners you want over to the breakout room, or anybody else. And then when you're done, you bring everything back to the main room. You'll actually be able to observe both rooms.
I'm gonna add a room, breakout room 2. I'm gonna assign
Did Don hang up?
Bob T. Assign. Okay, Bob, you're out. Rod, I'm gonna bring you in. Russ, I'm gonna bring you in. Kevin, I'm gonna bring you in. And Mike, I'm gonna bring you in. Now.
Hey, Bob, does the global microphone for everybody else get turned off when when Steve talks in the breakout room? Or is there an action that has to happen?
I only really know the theory of it, and I tested it a long time ago. But basically, hey Beth, basically, all you guys are supposed to disappear from this room and go to the other room.
Okay.
I'm gonna move participants. Let's see what happens.
Hey, Bob, if you can still hear us, call me on my cell phone, please. Fairly quickly.
We can still hear you. You can just say something.
Wave your hand, Bob, if you can hear us. That ain't good. Well, this is a technology that is, I got all the commissioners in a breakout room and Rod. And I got options. Move all participants. Countdown after closing breakout room. I'm gonna hit enter. No. Breakout rooms not started. How do I start them, Bob?
He's talking, but he doesn't have his mic on.
I did this a couple of months ago, so I don't really remember when.
Yeah,
how
you don't remember either.
Hmm.
Um,
We could have everybody who's not a commissioner log off and go to the waiting room.
yeah, I think that's what we're gonna have to do. I do apologize. You're taxing my technical capabilities, but I'm gonna stop recording, and Glenda, people at the firehouse, Elliot, Bob and Susan, and Karen, if you could sign off and then come back in 5 minutes, I will admit you, I promise.
So we
Yeah,
could-
sure.
Can't do it.
Good to see you.
Yeah, bye.
All right, I'm gonna pull.
4. There it is.
Yep, okay. So Brenda's back. The most important person is back, Karen. We're waiting for the firehouse. I'm gonna text Don.
Elliot was somewhere too, right?
Yeah, and I will email Elliot and tell him we're ready. I think I have it here. All right, Karen, you're back. We got Bob Simon back. Heather joining. Glenda's back in. All right. Most of the people are back. I apologize. We'll have to work on that, figure out how to do that. All right. So membership, I will make a motion that we refuse applicant Stephen Weiss for membership in the East Clinton Fire District. I need a second.
I'll second, Steve.
All right, Mike, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Ed, you're not there yet.
They're gonna call in just a few minutes. That Don's was just talking to Susan, so he's coming back in.
All right. We're gonna move on. All right. A couple of business things. Oaths of office. We got to get oaths of office in by when, Rod?
For commissioners has to be by January 30.
Okay, so and Karen can do it all by herself?
She can.
All right.
Does it have to be, Rod, does it have to be in person? Or since we're doing Zoom meetings, can we do it here and now?
It's up to the person who's taking the notary.
That would be you, Karen.
Normally the notary needs to see the person sign.
Ah, okay.
Right.
And the January 30th deadline is not just taking the oath, it's having it filed in the town clerk's office.
Right. So I have no objection to coming down to the firehouse and meeting you at some point in time, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what your situation is, Kevin, if you're good with that too, for a quick 3-minute swearing in ceremony. You good with that, Kevin Tiero?
Sure.
All right,
During the week or weekend, Steve?
it'll be a weekend.
Okay, yep,
All right, so the three of us will arrange a time for early January. How's that?
fine.
Sounds good.
Okay, and then you gave us a calendar, Karen. 13th is in time for a reorg meeting, Rod? Of January?
Yes, first 15 days of the month.
All right, so the first meeting of January, we will start actually with a reorganizational meeting. Bob Simon, you will be in charge to start that meeting.
Okay.
We, as of December 31st, will have no chair.
And it's going to be Zoom also?
Yeah.
So, and I know this probably isn't the right time, but then can we just do an annual subscription to Zoom? It saves us a lot of money.
I don't think we're gonna be out of this mess for at least 6 months. I don't know what people think, but I'm good with that.
Okay.
We need
All
to
right.
do a resolution on that.
All right, so I would move we authorize Bob Simon to sign us up for the annual Zoom membership.
I second.
Mike, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Russ,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right, January 13th. Okay, any other membership situations at the firehouse there?
No, we don't have any new members. No one has applied.
All right, and for your information, we refused the information of Stephen Weiss. He is not a member, or the application of Stephen Weiss. He is not a member.
Okay,
All right,
yep.
all right.
Well, I got you. Should I bring up now about we have a company wants to request using building on January 30th of 2021 for our chicken barbecue?
You can do that now. Give us details. Eat in, take out, what's the deal?
It's gonna be takeout only.
Alcohol or no?
No,
Any idea in the past, what kind of ticket sales do you expect at how many dollars a ticket?
it's $12 a ticket, and we printed, I think, 200 tickets.
All right, so up only maximum of $2,400.
Yeah.
All right, does anybody have any questions of Ed? Otherwise,
Yeah, we need to know, the last year input take of the use of the firehouse. We don't have that data, but that should be forthcoming to the board.
for the new year, or
No, for the 2020.
2020, yeah. We
Yeah,
put that in.
what did you bring in for the use of the, we don't need to know it now. January is fine.
What are you talking about, Bob? The whole year or what?
Yeah, Rod, can you help me out on this? The company should report on the amount of money they're taking in for the use of the facilities. Am I correct on that? Just a report of, go ahead.
There was something we discussed quite a while ago as far as use of the building. I don't recall the specifics of it without looking further into it.
well, I believe that we have the option to request it. Was basically the way I understood it. So what we had done previously, Bob, is as the new year came around, they gave us a series of dates with some kind of estimate, which I think was reflective of previous years' activity. Is that acceptable?
It'd be good to know what 2019, 2020, what those amounts were.
Can you prepare something, Ed, that is indicative of what fundraisers you expect to do in 2021, because I know you got the fish fry coming out for takeout also,
Right.
and some kind of estimate, some kind of revenue estimate based upon previous years,
Yeah, I can put something together.
please?
Yep.
I'm a little puzzled as to why you would need to have an estimate beforehand of what you're gonna get. You know, it's like, you don't know how well it's gonna be, received by the public, and what's the benefit of having a rough estimate? After it's over, it's easier to come up with the figures.
I've located the policy if you'd like me to read it to you.
Go for it.
The fire company must provide in advance written request to the fire district for approval of all fundraising events. The notice must be delivered to the fire district secretary at least 30 days before the event. The notice must adequately describe the fundraiser, specify the time or times, and the place where the fundraiser will be held, set forth the names of those who will serve on each of the committees in connection with the fundraisers, list all fire district equipment which a company desires to utilize. If the district fails to act on the request within 30 days after notice is delivered, then it shall be deemed that the Board of Fire has no objection to the fundraiser. In the event of a recurring fundraiser, such as a monthly or weekly event, one notice shall suffice per year. Upon written request from the Board of Fire Commissioners, the fire company shall provide the following information to the board prior to the fundraiser: the amount of funds anticipated to be spent, the amount of funds anticipated to be raised, the anticipated attendance of the community. Subsequent to the fundraiser, and upon written request from the Board of Fire Commissioners, the fire company shall provide the following information: the expenses initially incurred, the gross amount of funds received, the actual attendance of the community, the fire company's analysis of the benefit of the fundraiser to the fire company, its members, and the public, in order to determine whether the risk of permitting the fundraiser in the future is acceptable to the benefits of holding the fundraiser. That was adopted in 2019.
That answer your question, Russ?
More than I needed.
He's an
You
honest
asked for it.
He's an honest man. All right. What's your pleasure, folks?
Yeah, go for it. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So it says we need to supply a written request.
Okay.
All right.
You want a written request for just this one, or you want it for everything we've got planned for the year?
Well, the request is on us. And so I'll send you an email, Ed, asking for it.
Okay.
That emails are written, Ron?
No, the first request comes from the company. The company has to request the district approval.
He just did.
Written
All right,
request.
and you're going to come
Written
back in
request.
January with all the gory information, Ed?
Steve, that was a written request, according to policy.
The company must provide in advance written request to the fire district for approval of all fundraising events. The notice must be delivered to the secretary at least 30 days before the event. The notice must describe the fundraiser, specify the times, set forth the names of the firefighters, list all fire district equipment. That's
All right, so Ed, my suggestion would be that you supply a written request to Karen before the end of the year for all the fundraisers that you expect to do in 2021.
Okay.
Please.
All right. I
Thank
can do
you.
that.
I appreciate it.
Yep, not a problem.
Now, Steve, on us, I'd like to see what we brought in on at least 2019. 2020 is a wash.
All right. Well, when they request it in writing, we can request back in writing. I think that's the way it works.
Okay.
All right. Don talked about the COVID-19 policy. I would admit that I did this unilaterally, but things are getting out of hand out there. And I did put notice on the doors at the firehouse that masks are required in the firehouse at all times, and masks are also required in the firehouse or in district apparatus when more than one person is occupying the apparatus at any given time. We have also instituted a questionnaire that people are filling out when they attend events, when members attend events, meetings, drills. 3-step COVID questionnaire, basically asking about exposure, presence of any symptoms. I pirated it right out of what we got out of what I got out of work. And we have instituted temperature checks also when people are in attendance at such events. Does anybody have any questions about where we are? Any objections to my unilateral declaration?
No, none at all.
All
Go
right,
for it.
everybody good?
Steve, can I interject something here?
Go ahead.
As far as taking the temperatures at the meetings, I believe the temperature has to be recorded.
Okay, I wrote mine down on my paper. Maybe people were just writing that there was a, but,
I would put down to check, just check and see if it was okay, just put a check mark.
I believe that you don't want to record it. I believe, and I was the one to indicate that as a HIPAA violation.
When they come in and ask for what.
If the people taking it are professionals and they know the range of it, they took it and they put the check mark that they were all right when they took it. If you put that on a piece of paper, it is borderline, if not full-blown HIPAA.
well,
Okay.
Rod, I would think, Rod, if we maintain those papers in a private area where people don't have access to, we're not in any HIPAA exposure.
That's correct. You're not distributing to the public, just like any other medical information about your firefighters.
So we can record it, but we need to keep that information private.
That's correct.
All right,
Do we have one of those guns you point at the head? And
we
take the-
do. We made a mistake one time and it was loaded, but otherwise we were in pretty good shape.
That explains why I'm a little off. You hit me with it.
Well, I sure as heck don't want to get in front of it then.
We're going to use you as a test dummy.
All right, LoSAP, officer points. We had a discussion last month and we had discussion when we approved officer points that basically if a person did not earn his officer points, that he would not receive his officer points. However, we never set any objective criteria for that person to attain or not attain the ability to earn those points. So it was pointed out to me by our council that we should set an objective criteria for 2021 as to whether we're going to award officer points or not. It is my humble opinion that an officer should be doing more than your general active member. So what I will suggest is in excess of the active member requirements. So I would therefore move that the criteria we set for attainment of officer points is for the calendar year that officer makes 15% of calls, that he makes a minimum of 8 quick calls, and that he or she have leadership responsibilities in 2 of the minimum 6 drills that he or she must already attend as an active member. Was there anything else we were going to do with that, Don?
No, that sounded about right, Steve.
All right, so I seek a second for discussion.
Second for discussion.
Go ahead. Anybody have any discussion?
Yeah, I think that 15% is a little low for the officers. 20% sounds a little bit better, at least to my mind.
All right, anybody else want to weigh in on that?
Could I just ask you for clarification? What's officer points qualify him for? Is there a higher LoSAP for an officer than the regular fireman?
Yeah, the officer points are a LoSAP award, and the chief or a captain or a lieutenant gets additional points for participating. The irony is that if he's made his officer points, if he's made the qualifications to make his officer points, he's almost automatically already made all his 50 LoSAP points anyways, right?
Yeah,
But
I
I
mean,
think I
He
think
doesn't-
it's more of a status kind of thing, or perceived as a reward. Don, maybe you want to speak to that?
I view it as an incentive. Believe me, there's no status. Thank you. But it's an incentive perhaps to take the position. But we did have a couple exceptions this year where I was not going to, and Steve was well aware, that I was not awarding officer points for people who did not deserve them. As when it was voted on, I made it extremely clear that if you're an officer, I expect you to at least make the calls and act like an officer. So they weren't candy points. It's more of an incentive to take the positions. Rarely would the person actually need those points to bring them up to the 50. It's an incentive program is what it is. And we discussed the 15 or the 20%. And, you know, that's, I don't know how much of a difference that would definitely make. I was in favor of the 15%. I don't think it would make a huge difference, but I was in favor of the 15.
So what does the officer points give them? It gives them extra points maybe so they can get to 50, but it doesn't give them an extra monetary award, does it?
No, Russ. What it does is, for example, let's go by the chief. The chief gets 25 points, as does the captain of rescue. Believe me, Sue and I do not need those 25 points by any stretch of the imagination. Then you go to the deputy chiefs, and I believe they get 20 extra points. The captain of support and the captain positions, support and fire, get 20 extra points. I'm doing this on top of my head. Don't quote me. Then the safety officers, the captain of fire police, the lieutenants, I believe get 10 extra points.
So, but you still have to meet the minimum requirements towards drills and
Oh, yeah.
response.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
Basically, by getting officer points, instead of having 50, you're going to come up with 75 or something else. But like I say, it's not going to, it might look better, but you still have to meet the requirements without being an officer.
Well, that's correct, but that's the way it's written on through there anyway. It is an incentive to take the position, but at the end of the day, it should not make any difference in your LoSAP status.
Okay, I don't have a problem. It just doesn't seem like it's really doing you a heck of a lot of good because you still got to make so many drills and so many calls and stuff. So you're going to get those points without the officer points. And what difference does it make if you got 50 or 90? You're still going to get the same reward, the same monetary reward later.
Let's call it an incentive insurance policy.
I have no problem with it.
It's just a little reward, and again, all this does is all this motion is about is the minimum level of participation to attain to be rewarded the officer points. So, what's your pleasure, anybody?
Makes sense.
15 versus 20, Russ. What do you think? 15 versus 20%.
I'd stay with 15.
Mike?
I don't think it makes a difference because, like you said, everybody's going to get their points some other way. So whatever, it doesn't make a difference.
Kevin?
All right, I agree with the 15.
All right, so we're going to maintain the motion at 15%. We're not going to change the motion. Any other discussion? All right, Mike, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Bob?
No.
Kevin?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion carries 4-1. Got that, Karen?
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
Steve, on reference to that, that means this year that
They're getting their point.
whoever's an officer this year is going to get those points. Is that
That
correct?
is correct. That is correct.
That's sad.
Okay, it is what it is. All right, decon. We talked a little bit about decon, and we've talked about all the additional cancers that especially interior firefighters are subject to, reproductive cancers. And the intent is that we're trying to keep them safe and keep their families safe. And we're in a situation where if anybody goes interior, his gear's got to be bagged at the scene. But that leaves us without gear for that person. We're also in a situation where we don't have adequate, at this point, shower facilities at the firehouse. We don't want that person to jump into his vehicle or into her vehicle and drive home, then load his kids into the same vehicle, right? So we have, I think, about 4 sets of extra turnout gear. Is that correct, Don?
We have 4, yes, we do. Currently, we have 4 sets of extra interior gear. Now, mind you, board, that gear is not for that person at that fire. They're out of service as an interior firefighter. After they do their secondary decon, they can no longer scot up and go in a fire. We have jumpsuits in the rehab vehicle that they can wear to assist with the endeavors of the fire, such as rolling hose. But currently, we have 4 sets of interior grade extra gear.
This is for the next incident.
Correct.
All right. And you might say, well, we never have back-to-back incidents. Wrong. We had one about a year ago. We had a, and it's not unusual. I mean, and this was mutual aid, so I can say it. We had a fire, and then we had a rekindle a couple hours later. Right.
How long, Steve, how long, or Don, if these, say you got 3 interior firemen and those clothes all have to be bagged. Now I see you need extras, so if they have another one they can go to. My question is, how long is the turnaround from the time these things are bagged that we get them cleaned and get them back?
Up to 48 hours.
Okay, do we send them somewheres or?
Yeah, we don't have the facilities here to clean them, unfortunately.
But Roosevelt has offered their facility, Pleasant Valley has offered their facility, or we can get them into Red Cap and they can do it commercially.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out how long it took to get them.
Yep.
And how many interior firemen do we have?
8.
8.
The issue is that those 4 sets of gear will fit most of the firefighters, but we have at least one guy who I would describe as jumbo sized, who's a very valuable member and a very valuable interior firefighter who we would need gear for. So
He just called.
I'm going to share a screen. We have a quote here from MES. Share. This is for, which one's this, Don? Oh, you can't see it. Custom turnout.
No, I can't.
2 custom turnout gears and two coats and 2 pants. That's for the replacement gear, right?
There was what? There was Chris's gear was in one quote, and then the quote from the other day was I asked for 2 spare sets, human size, and 2 chief coats.
All right, this says on the bottom, Chris Gamone and spare set.
Okay.
So I would move that we authorize the expenditure, and this is a state bid quote, is this not?
Yes.
All right, so I would move that we authorize the expenditure of $5,240 for spare gear to fit firefighters. So we have backup gear when we have to bag the primary gear at an incident, and I seek a second.
Second for discussion.
Go ahead, any discussion?
Yeah, what about bags? Not just gear, but we need to get these guys and gals more carry bags for the various sets of gear, because the bags are contaminated also.
No, they're not.
Bags are not? How are they not if we're putting, well, no, because we're only putting clean gear in bags.
Correct. The bags are only clean gear. The other ones go in the heavy-duty commercial garbage bags in the rehab vehicle.
All right.
Still need some more bags. You got multiple sets of gear.
We got bags.
You
got
have
extra
them
bags?
already. Okay.
Yep.
All right, any
Good
other
enough.
discussion? Kevin, you got any questions?
No, I'm kind of losing my volume though. I'm trying to get it back, Steve.
All right, Russ, any questions?
Nope.
Mike, any questions?
Nope, I think it's cheaper than some of the other options, so,
All right, so, Mike, what's your pleasure?
aye.
Russ,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Furthermore, we have another quote. Stop share. Share screen. And crud.
It's a cool computer, Steve, how it works by you talking.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat thing. Shut up, Mike. Share screen. Share. We have another quote. Now I have another quote here, Don, for Chiefs coats. Explain.
Kevin, explain.
Well, the coat I have doesn't really fit properly and it's stained quite badly.
So it's filthy and it doesn't fit. And one is for you and one is for whom else?
Jimmy,
One is for Jimmy and his is in the same situation.
same situation.
All right, I would therefore move that we authorize the expenditure of $2,667 for replacement Chiefs coats for Chief Bathrick and Chief Russell, and I seek a second.
Second,
Discussion.
Let me just ask you a question. Chief's coat is just a coat that has designation on it, chief, right? It's no different type gear, is it?
It's white.
Okay. But it's the same, it's a fire protective coat and it's designated chief. Okay, no problem.
All right, any other questions? Russ, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Mike?
aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Furthermore, I don't know if anybody's ever opened the door and looked in the shower room at the firehouse. If you paid me $1,000, I wouldn't take my clothes off in that room.
Thank God.
You'd probably get 1,000 not to take them off.
No doubt. It is filthy. It is disgusting.
Company fundraiser.
Company-
We want to make money, not lose it.
It is filthy and disgusting. We need a commercial cleaning in there. We need to remove that stationary sink. We need to put in a linens cabinet and stock it with clean linens. We need to put a bench for people to be able to sit down to change their clothes. We need to put some hooks on the wall so people have a place to hang their clothes. We need to get some clean mats and put them on the floors after the commercial cleaning. And we need to install interior locks so that people have certainty that no one will inadvertently barge in. So I would propose we authorize up to $2,000 for the aforesaid. I seek a second for discussion purposes.
Second.
We got a second. Okay, discussion.
How do
Steve,
we
I don't
stop-
think that's enough.
How do we stop it from getting back to the state it's in now? Are we gonna have cleanings on so much of a regular?
We'd have to add it to the cleaning list. And I think Don and I talked about sealing it so that people don't start putting stuff in there again, because that's where it gets dirty. So
Okay.
we would put like a paper seal on it or something.
Okay.
Steve?
Yeah.
But 2,000 not going to be enough, especially if you're going to get into the draining end of it. And that's pretty gross down there. I think you're constrained too much. Give it 35, up to 3,500 at least.
I'm good with that. Anybody, who do you have as a seconder, Karen?
Kevin.
Kevin, you good with that?
I'm fine with that, yeah, because I'm thinking 2,000 is a little low too, so. it's
Okay,
fine.
all right, so we'll modify with the, I'm good with that. We have the permission of the person who gave the second. We can modify that to 3,500. Any
Right.
other discussion, Russ or Mike or?
Yeah, question is, on something like this, do you need to get more than one estimate? How's it work?
Our purchasing policy is, you got a handy, Rod?
Oh, purchasing policy, someplace here.
I know you had it before. I thought that was a pretty good shot you had it this time.
That was the fundraising policy.
So it was under 500 or 5,000.
I don't have anybody in mind. I think we just, and if we need to go out for bids, we go out to bids.
I think we've got a limit that we don't have to go out to bid, I think.
Yeah, so that was,
Well,
I mean-
Steve, has there been a general contractor type person out there before to do work that you use?
we've had one person that built the storage room on the outside there.
I don't know if Halton does that kind of work or not.
Halton's kind of proud of his work. We had Richie Biot come in and do the work before.
Rich worked for me on the roof, the leak on the roof.
Yeah, and Kevin's had him do work, and I'm having him do some work right now. So we can certainly get Rich in to quote it, but we just got to figure out how many quotes we need.
If we do, at that level.
Well, what about if his quote comes in higher than that?
Then we're going to have to come back.
Okay.
And it may, Kevin, the draining and the floor on that shower, it's pretty biohazard.
Right,
Oh,
and is the floor just concrete or is it tiled?
It's tiled. It drains pretty well. We'll have to have somebody take a look at it. I'm sorry, Rod. Karen, you have the policy available that you could tell us what the limits are? He's got it.
So what kind of contract is this? Is this for work or for purchasing?
This is for work.
For work. How much are you looking for?
35.
45?
3,500.
35.
35. How about 34,999?
That's it.
That's it. 3 written quotations.
All right, so we need to modify the 3 written
3 written or faxed quotations.
up at 34.99.
34,999.99.
And what does 3,500 do to us?
3,500 or 35,000?
3,500.
3,500. Well, you didn't say that the first time. You said 35. 3,500 is 2 verbal quotations.
How many?
2.
2 verbal
2
quotations.
verbal quotations. Between 1,500 and 5,000 is 2 verbal quotations.
All right, so 3,500 is a good level to be at. That's a good question. So we need 2 verbal quotes. I can call Biot in if anybody else has any ideas.
But we can talk to Halton just to see.
All right, I know somebody at Halton's too. I can have them look. So I will.
I can inject something here. My house, I had Stanley Steamer come in and did the rug in the family room, and also he cleaned all the grout and all the tile on the floor.
Well, and actually what we might end up with is the commercial cleaner would be one thing and then the improvements would be a secondary thing. I doubt that the commercial cleaner would be very much money at all. And my suggestion would be that while we do that, we have him come in and do the carpet in the meeting room.
And the other bathrooms.
And the other bathrooms.
So that'd be on a different quote.
That'll be on a
35
different
is the
quote.
work.
We've had him come in and do the carpet and the bathrooms before. Bob, do you recall, Bob Simon, do you recall how much that was? Yeah, your nay will suffice.
I do not recall. I think it might have been, I can look it up though, Steve.
If you can look it up and get back to us, we're going to keep moving. All right,
Sure.
so the motion on the floor is to improve the bathroom for not to exceed of $3,500. We need 2 verbal quotes. Any other discussion before we vote? Bob, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Bob will get back to us on the commercial cleaner. So we've got the gear, and per Kevin Russell's suggestion, we need to get an electrician in to look at 2 lights that aren't functioning. I would move we authorize up to $500 for an electrician to investigate the situation with those 2 fluorescent lights. 1 in the men's bathroom, 1 in the officer's room. I covered a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Bob, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Russ?
I just wondered if it's lights, if they're fluorescent lights, they either have a starter or a ballast, and a starter, you just put in a twist. I wonder if we don't have somebody in the department to just check them out, see if they're working.
These are all ballast that are in it. There's
Okay,
no
well,
starter.
if they're ballast, then they probably need to have the whole thing replaced.
Yeah.
Kevin, ask him to consider switching them over to LED. So
Yeah,
it
that
doesn't
wouldn't be
happen
a bad-
again. That's what we did in Susan's room.
And they'll never go bad. And it's good light. So, okay, I need a second still though, I think. Don't I, Karen?
No, Mike seconded.
Okay, anybody other discussion? Bob, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Russ,
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Aye, I vote aye as well. That motion carries. West Clinton update. I have made various entreaties at Todd. I've heard nothing back. I'll go after him again. District policies, Rod, you had, and I forwarded to everybody, the district policy on, refresh my memory.
Application for membership.
Yeah, and I'm gonna start talking to my computer again, folks, because I'm gonna try to display that one. One attachment, application for membership, open in browser. Be quiet, Michael. Share screen, here I go. Word, share. Screen sharing has stopped. Share. There we go. All right. Everybody was sent this Saturday, I believe. And has had opportunity to read it. Russ, you're good at this. What do you see? What do you say? What do you think?
Well, we addressed this on the last one, and seemed like Rod didn't think it was necessary, but on the very first, second page, the bottom paragraph on the first page talks about driver's license if the applicant possesses one. But
Right,
then,
we made a motion actually last time that he did not need to have one, I believe.
right, but then if you start on the last sentence of the first page, the application will not be considered to be complete unless the applicant's driver's license and the results of background are included. I just think that it makes it a little more clear if you put down after the license, if possessed, just clarifies it. They don't have to have it, but then it almost sounds like they do need to have it. So I think if he has one or if possessed, just reiterates what's in the last paragraph of the first page.
All right, anybody have any objection to that? Makes sense to me. Karen, do you have a Word version of this that you can modify?
I think so, yeah.
All right, because we're gonna be, all right, anything else, Russ, from you on this?
No, that's the only thing I saw.
Bob?
Yeah, I sent you an email on it. I'm trying to bring it up on my computer right now.
If I was gonna go look for that, I'd have to start talking to my computer again.
Okay, hey, Steve, so can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
We can
Let's
hear
see.
you without the volume on.
no mention of background check being seen by the full board before a decision is made to accept at the district level. And we need to have something about, so people understand that the paperwork has to be accepted by the district secretary and dated by her to start that clock. Let's see.
Both of those things are in there.
They are?
The last paragraph on the first page.
Okay.
Yeah, shall submit the application to the secretary at any regular board meeting. Obviously.
Okay.
Must be in writing.
Well, do you want it only done at a board meeting?
That's what it said, and I'm good with that, actually. I think that's the right way to do it.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that way you lock it into a particular date.
And it's entered in the minutes.
That's fine. Then the last thing is, we need to make sure we strip out any mention of this same topic in the existing copies of the policy, or it's going to confuse the daylights out of everybody.
So we have, so this policy is the governs the procedure for applications for active membership in the East Clinton Fire District. So this is the procedure for application.
But we've already got something in there already, so we got to make sure that this supersedes it, and we don't have two copies of the same thing in there.
Well, on this application for membership, when we adopt it, say amended as of a certain date or something, replacing anything prior to this, or just like I say, if you put this is amended as of this date, that replaces everything before it, or effective on such and such a date.
We could do that, but it's not optimal.
Well, I think right in the first sentence, this application for membership policy governs the procedure of application, active member in East Clinton Fire District as of effective certain date, effective January 1st or whatever you want to put it down.
Okay.
So the active. We would date the policy anyways, Rod, would it not? Would we not?
The policy will be dated at the end, yes.
Okay, and is it appropriate to put a phrase that this will supersede any other policy that this is in conflict with, or?
I don't see it's necessary, but there's nothing wrong with putting it in there either.
Okay. All right, so.
I know somebody's going to read the previous policies and go by it. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, but you can't prevent them from doing that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is we should strip out the older version of this topic in the policy manual.
Yeah, but how are we going to do that until we get through the whole manual? I mean, there's changes being made all along, and unless you, I know that in previous jobs I had, they used to come out with things, and you get a yearly thing where remove pages 3 through 7 and replace with new pages 3 through 7, and then the new pages had dates on them. But I mean, to go through our policy manual and start make these changes is going to be kind of confusing until I think it's, like I say, you come out with after it's all done, it seems like you're going to have to make a new manual up.
Okay, we're good.
I don't know how you effectively change it as you're going home.
All right, so we're gonna have a date on this. I would move that we enact this active application for membership policy as written, except with the addition of Russ's advice to at least parenthetically add that a driver's license is only necessary if a person is in possession of said license. Effective January 1st, 2021. I look for a second for purposes of discussion.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Bob, anything else?
No, I'm good.
Mike,
Nope, I'm good.
Kevin?
Well, Steve, in the past, in the policy manual, I mean, things had to be changed before, right?
Yep.
And how did that happen?
Last date wins in my mind. The most recent date wins.
Okay. All right.
Is that
The
right, Rod?
revision date is always put on the policy also.
Right.
So what we should do, each of us, and of course that's only us, is make the new one copy, go into our book where it is, X out the previous one and insert this into our policy book. So we try to stay current with it. But it's going to be hard to give it to every single member of the department.
Well, there is a solution to that. Karen's got a soft copy. She sends it to Bob Simon and anybody else that needs to see it. And she has a revision date, a number on it. And that's the most current version. And because I think the hard copies are problematic. So it's all online, it's on the web, and it's in our emails.
All right, but for purposes of adopting this specific wording, it's not particularly relevant to the question at hand. Any other questions? Any other discussion, advice, issues, differences, suggestions?
Well, yeah, I mean, like for the policy book, like at work where I work, we have a FOP book, Facility of Procedures. And I get changes at least once a week, and they are numbered and they're dated. And what we do is like Russ was saying, you go in, you take out the old one and you just put the new one in.
And
There's not a policy just for application for membership at this time though, correct?
I don't think there is.
No, it's included in one of the others, but it's not its own policy.
Right, so I think this is a new policy for the most
Yeah,
part.
this is a new one.
Okay.
All right, anything else from anybody? Kevin,
No, there is an existing policy.
for application?
There is a policy for application for membership, page 19.
So we're gonna make this, how many pages is it? So we're gonna make this an insert at page 19 and replace the previous policy. Do we have to note that in the wording, or is it implied by the fact that there's a more recent date?
It's implied and inferred by the fact there's a more recent date.
Okay,
I mean, since this is a policy that affects new people as well as old people, old members, present members as well as future members, give the policy to the president and let him distribute it amongst the company members so they know that if they're soliciting new members, this is what they have to do.
Yeah, he gets the company president gets a copy.
Yeah. But I mean,
All right,
you're never going to be able to fully address Bob T's question because, you know, the laws of the state of New York change, but nobody ever gets notified of them until you break them.
You get caught breaking them.
You get caught breaking them, right?
Is that a hard copy or soft copy? The one,
To where, to add to the company president?
yeah.
It's a hard copy.
So does that mean all the members get a hard copy?
it means he has the opportunity to distribute them to all members.
Post it
Okay.
on the board.
All right, I'm looking for a vote. Russ, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. What is our what did we want Rod to go after next time we review policies? Anybody have a hot topic?
I don't know. Have we started from the beginning of this thing and just went through to see what was correct as it is and then change things as we find them, or how have we been
we've had various people that have gone through and seen things that either we are not doing according to our policy or should be changed because our policy is deficient. And we've tried to address most of those hot topics. I think we've gotten most of them, but I don't think by any stretch.
No, that's not quite correct. I haven't been looking at it lately, but there are things in it that are problematic. For instance, in our policy right now, it says you cannot have your cell phone on your person going into a scene. We need to change that. It has to do with taking pictures at a scene, which is prohibited on our current policy. Things like that do need to be looked at and changed.
So what policy would you
What we're doing.
suggest that we go after, Bob?
Yeah, I'll take a look at it and send.
All right, we'll get back with
Yeah.
you, Rod, and we'll let you know
Yeah.
what we want to look at. All right, we're gonna stop sharing this. I'm gonna start talking to my computer again, Mike, okay?
Okay.
All right. New mail, sorry. Inbox. There we go. All right, TEK, we have not yet settled the contract. She asked me if we could insert a clause because of the volatility of the supplies market, particularly gloves, masks, and so on, that we could insert a clause that gave her some latitude as far as pricing. So Rod sent this, which I will share. Which phrase did you add, Rod?
The very first sentence, go back to the top. This agreement is made on today and is effective as of whatever retroactive date we wanted to pick. I think we wanted October 1st or September 1st.
So it would be between the retroactive date and today, or through the
Yeah,
next.
the agreement is made on, December 16th, but is effective as of, when was the first physical this past fall?
Call it October 1st.
October 1st.
And it would be effective. So we're looking for October 1st, 2020 through 12/31/2020, for argument's sake. Is that what we're looking for, boys?
We need to have it for 2021 too. So the retroactive one, that would satisfy it, but we really need to get on the bandwagon in January to get them signed up for next year if we're going to still use them. So it may require two of these contracts.
What do people think about, in order to acknowledge TEK's situation, and if we say right in the center of the page that I have on display, TEK may, and remove upon 30 days written notice, and just put upon written notice to the district, increase the above fees due to increase in costs. And keep the clause, if such increases cumulatively exceed 10%, the district at any time thereafter may terminate this agreement.
I'm good with that.
All right, so Karen,
Yeah.
if you could date a contract for October 1st through 12/31/2020 with the verbiage exactly as written, and if you could print another or send another contract January 1st through December 31st of 2021 with the change right where I'm looking, removing the 30 days written notice. Just they have to give written notice, but removing the 30 days. That would be my suggestion as to how we proceed, and I will so move. I seek a second for discussion.
Steve, I'll second it for discussion.
Go ahead, anybody discussion?
All right,
So-
I'm a little slow. so you confused me a little bit. Up at the very top, where Rod was talking about making this effective, I would almost say 12/16, but backdating it to October 1st, 2020, correct? This agreement is made on December 16, 2020, and is effective as of October 1, 2020.
Okay, yeah, okay, you're right.
I think that's what he was saying.
Okay, you're right.
So that's for this year. And then you talked about making up another one that would, I would assume, be effective on January 1, 2021 through December 30th or 31st, 2021. Am I
Yeah.
following you right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that either. Why doesn't this one just continue until it's terminated?
We could do that.
Well, the very last sentence on the agreement allows either side to terminate it for any reason at any time.
Right.
All right, so Mike's just suggestion will and Russ's correction, the agreement is made today and is effective as of October 1st, 2020. And that we would remove the 30 days, but they would still need to give written notice. And we have that appendix there for our job descriptions. So I would withdraw and modify and make a new motion accordingly that we send this contract to the TEK for and authorize me to sign it.
So that's authorizing you to sign something for what's actually in place now, just kind of clearing up the technicalities, right?
That's the way I would perceive it, yes.
And this agreement would then have no end date. It would require either TEK or the fire district to terminate it, and you can do that at any time.
Correct, that's the way I understand it. Any other discussion? Karen, you straight in what you're doing? Because
So the agreement is made today and is effective as of 10/1/2020
yes, and you're gonna remove the 30 days.
and remove the 30 days.
Yep.
Okay,
All right, and you can send that to me and I'll send it to TEK.
okay.
If you'd be so kind, assuming we vote in the affirmative. Mike, what's your pleasure?
Steve,
Yes, Bob.
I wanted, we need to get this back to us in a timely fashion. The last go around, it's been months without any responses.
I think I dropped the ball, honestly, for the past 30 days.
It's actually been more than 30 days.
No, but I think
we resolved this like 3 months
the
ago.
last 30 days is on me. I think I dropped the ball. I didn't remember where we left it and I didn't realize that she'd passed the ball back to me.
Okay, so how do we get this back to Karen for our records?
As soon as she sends it to me, I will forward it to Lisa and I will point out the clause that gives her some latitude in pricing. And I will ask that she sign it and return it immediately, if not sooner.
And that'll go to Karen's records.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So Mike, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right, vehicle strategy is a large, well, it can be a large topic. But I thought it was important that we discuss it specifically because of an offer that's been made to us on an ambulance. So I sent out, and everybody has in his folder, a list of the 8 vehicles that make up our fleet, other than the 2 fly cars. Oh, they includes the 2 fly cars. I'm sorry. So that's the 8 vehicles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that make up our fleet. On this particular document, and I think for the public's sake, I'm gonna start talking to my computer again, Mike.
All right.
You want the rock, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay, there it is. So this was done a year or two ago, and I did not update it. I just grabbed it and sent it out with the email. So this was done a year ago, because in 2000, we're calling the ambulance 14 years old, and it's a 2005, right? Yeah, everything as is of 2019. So it's a little bit out of date. But we have theoretical replacement costs. Actually, in some cases, they might be a little bit low. In the case of the ambulance, I think it was a couple, 3 years ago, we had Kevin Gage, the New York State Inspector, in.
Great.
And his advice when I queried him on if there were any mandatory replacement intervals on ambulances, he said, no, there are not. You can run an ambulance forever in theory. But his suggestion was that we have a good brawn box, and that we should replace the chassis and put the current box on a new truck chassis, a heavier duty chassis. Hopefully my wife is answering this, because it's my very pregnant. Due to be induced on Monday. So the estimate we had a year ago is that it could cost as much as $150,000 to put that box on a truck chassis. As a point of reference, when we did the brush truck 2 years ago, that was $85,000, and we did most of the work ourselves. That was a 250, Kevin?
350.
That's a 350. The ambulance chassis, I think that we looked at, was a 450.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So I don't think that 150 is out of line. Sharon, Connecticut, has a 2010 ambulance that has 20,800 miles when we looked at it last Friday. It's on a truck chassis. Our ambulance on a van chassis is very hard to work on. We just paid $5,600. Probably half of that was additional labor that they had to put in to change that oil cooler because of all the work they had to do to access it. And our box has always been very heavy on that van chassis. So it was a heavier chassis. It had not only an automatic cot, but it had a loader. A loader. So in essence, it's pretty impressive, and I've seen them. You don't lift at all to put anybody in this ambulance. You press a lever, the cot goes up, you engage this feature on the ambulance. It essentially grabs a hold of the cot and pulls it right in without anybody lifting or hurting his back or her back. It was rather impressive. Our current ambulance has how many miles, Don? What, 40 something?
27.
Yeah, that sounds right. On top of my head, yeah.
Yeah. So we'd have the opportunity to have a heavier weight ambulance, 4-wheel drive. I didn't mention that before. 4-wheel drive with this automatic loader, which, by the way, is a $40,000 option, on a heavier truck chassis that's easier to work on.
It kneels.
What's that?
It kneels. Don't forget it kneels.
Oh yeah, and the ambulance kneels at the back as well. They offered it to us for $30,000.
What's wrong with it?
They live in a wealthy town, and it took them about 3 months or 4 months to raise the $250,000 that they need for a new ambulance. Their current rescue squad captain is very concerned that if this ambulance is sold, it continue to be used as an ambulance. It has her mother's names on the door. I think she was very instrumental in the initial purchase of this ambulance, and she's very concerned that its continued use be that of an ambulance and not as a plumber vehicle or an electrician vehicle, and that's where a lot of old ambulances go. So $30,000, I think, would carry us for another 10 years minimum, and drastically reduce the expected expenditures that we foresaw a year and 2 years ago relative to the current ambulance. Don or Kevin, I don't know if you have anything to add or detract or disagree with, but go ahead if you do.
Well, we have, as Sue has said so well, our team is amazing with our EMS. The fact that we are at, we're 100% response with people on the scene, but a 95% transport. A lot of times that's just a couple of us at the scene. And if we're concerned about the safety of these people, that has a load capacity of 800-pound patient. So without having to call for additional resources and the safety of the patient, and that really terribly impressed me, that we're operating well with what we have, but I'll tell you what, that automatic loader is worth the price of admission.
So they have made the maintenance records available to us. It has been maintained by Millerton Ford. It has been maintained by Junior's Diesel Mechanic in Stanfordville. They have authorized us to review those records. It's a good place to start unless anybody doesn't think this is a good idea. The ambulance they have on order is due in May or June, so we have a little time to consider this. This is not anything we need to vote on at this meeting. As a matter of fact, I would think people should want to walk away and consider it for 30 days anyways. Unless anybody here is like, no, this is silly, we shouldn't go there. So, I mean, Mike, you have any objections to pursuing this, or?
I just want to talk for a sec. You know, I maintain nine large vehicles for my business, and I know all about large vehicles. This sounds like an awesome deal. I would, talk to Junior, ask him what the condition is of it, or have him look at it. Make sure it doesn't have any major issues that are coming up that he knows of. But other than that, it sounds like a slam dunk. I mean, I would get it before somebody else does. So
Yeah, they did say the exhaust is probably going to need to be replaced soon.
that's no big deal.
All right, Kevin, any concerns? You think we should go, or this is foolishness?
No, I'm all for this. I think this is a no-brainer too.
All right, and we could also get something for our current ambulance. It is not without value. We could get something, and that's going to reduce the $30,000 cost. Russ, what's your take?
I'm sure this is a question that probably is the answer, but obviously this is on a truck chassis, so it's not going to be any higher or bigger so that it will not fit into the firehouse, correct? It'll still have a place to park it.
It will. I'm 99.44% sure it will fit, but we will take some measurements and verify, and that's a good question.
I think that I'm going along with what Mike and Kevin said. I didn't know there was that much difference between a van chassis and a truck chassis, but apparently there is. I think if you can check these two places that did work on it and they have a positive recommendation on the condition of it, it sounds like a great deal. It's just unfortunate that we got to wait till May to get it. It'd be nice if we had it this winter,
Right. I think the 4-wheel drive is huge. The current ambulance has rear-wheel drive with on-spot chains, and the on-spot chains can be problematic. I don't know. Do you have any vehicles with on-spot chains, Mike, or do you?
No, I'm not familiar with those.
All right. They're kind of.
They drop down.
Air-activated cylinders that push this rotating wheel that has a bunch of probably 18-inch chain links that as you move the vehicle, the chains get thrown under the front wheels continually as this wheel rotates.
They work great.
They work rather well when they work.
Yeah, we haven't had we have on spots and we've had very little difficulty with them.
Right. Right. So I'm not taking away from those. I think the 4-wheel drive is better for our district because of some of the driveways we need to go up. But okay, Bob, any concerns about continuing to pursue this or?
Oh, no, I'd say definitely go for it. I'd say, I'm thinking a letter of intent toward the positive to Sharon, so we don't miss it. I would not pass this one up at all.
Okay. Kevin Russell, you still there?
I'm here.
Can we authorize you to contact juniors and contact Millerton Ford and get the maintenance records or copies of the maintenance records for your review and get their recommendations?
I can do that. And Russ, for your information, the van chassis is like your old camper that you just sold, and a truck chassis is a pickup front on it. That's the difference.
Oh, you mean the van chassis is like where half the engine's inside the cab and half of it's outside?
Right, and the truck chassis, you open up the hood and everything's right there.
Because I mean, the frame on that motorhome I sold was a bear of a frame. So I mean, I thought that was a chassis. Actually, the frame was comparable to a truck, you know. But I see what you're talking about. I call it the cab over thing, where part of the engine's inside, part of the engine's outside.
Right. When they did the oil cooler, all the work that had to be done on that had to be done in the cab. They had to take the console out, they had to take the seat out, passenger seat, and that's how they did it.
Yeah, it
was a regular truck pickup style. You just open up the hood and everything's right there out in the open.
Well, with some exception, I know that some of the Ford trucks, the diesels apparently,
Right now,
they had trouble in them. They had to take the cab off the truck to work on them.
Right. All right, so Kevin's gonna look at the maintenance records, talk to those 2 facilities. I have a contact at Sharon and I will communicate that our interest is serious. Some of the decisions that we are going to have to make and we don't have to make right now is we could spend this money out of the surplus that we hope to carry into the new year, or we can go through the process and take the money out of the equipment purchase and go through the permissive referendum process. Again, we don't have to decide that. It's just something that we need to consider. I don't think there's really any major advantage or disadvantage in either direction. Anybody else have anything to add?
Well, if I understand it correctly, you don't have to go through the referendum if you use the surplus money. And I think this is such a wise decision potentially to buy this that I would say take it out of the surplus money. It'd be easier and simpler.
Yeah, it'd be easier and simpler. Does anybody have any desire to go out and take a look at this machine?
If you and Susan and Don and Kevin that's good enough. You guys
Kevin
have to
has
live
not.
with it.
I would like Kevin to go out and take a look at it.
So Steve, yeah, they said, of course, that anyone who wants to come out and take a look at it, that we can arrange that. So, I mean, I know the way that it happened is, of course, I know this squad from working in Connecticut and working with the Sharon squad. And they raised the money, as Steve said, they raised the money from their community in 4 or 5 months. And they thought they were just going to trade the old ambulance in. And I said, well, wait a second, what are you doing with it? And because they were impressed with what, we've got going on in very similar situation, that they offered it to us.
It sounds like we're extremely fortunate that it seems like the cards are falling in our lap in a good way.
I think so.
All right, so we're gonna express our intent to consider the process. Kevin's gonna follow through with the records, and we will revisit this again in January. Any concerns, Rod, from your perspective, or we're proceeding?
You're in the right track.
All right.
All right, so Steve, you're gonna contact them and inform them that we are very interested?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Email Tom. Okay, Kevin, facilities committee update.
Okay, so what we have going. Let's see. So on January 5th at approximately 6 p.m., Dan, let me just get to it. Dan Peters from Labella Architects is going to come down, meet with most of the committee. Because right now, myself, Don, Elliot, Russell, Russ, I'm assuming you're okay with that date, January 5th?
As far as I know, I said I was okay with all of it, I think.
Okay. So once again, Don, Elliot, myself, Kevin Russell, and Russ are good with that date. I still haven't heard from Art and Bill Baldwin because of COVID doesn't want to participate. So we are going to sit down with Dan from Labella, who I spoke to a couple times. He seems like he's on top of his game. And I'm waiting to hear back from, give me 1 second.
Now, while he's looking, Rod, are you familiar with, you gave us the name of the first two that we contacted, H2N or something, and another one?
Yeah.
You ever hear of this Labella?
I have not.
I guess this came from Art Weiland. It came up with these names, I think.
Yes, that's true, Russ. So I spoke to Ray Travis from MHCM, and they're right in Poughkeepsie. He's going to email me back some dates that they're available to come down and speak with the committee too.
What does
and that
MHCN stand for? Just curiosity.
Let me get to their paperwork.
Mid-Hudson Construction Management.
There you go. Thank you. That is it. So I spoke to him yesterday. He's going to email me some dates. So we have Roy from MHCM, and we have Dan from Labella. And then we
the
still
intent
have
here is that they would meet with you and develop a proposal for a path forward. And you have a couple other proposals that I don't think we necessarily need to go through at this point in time. But at that point, we would have a couple, 3 proposals that we could compare and kind of make an informed decision as to where we would have to head if we're serious about this, or am I missing something?
No, that is true. We will have 2 and maybe 3 by mid-January, I would believe. Now, the one that already contacted us, H2M, they did come down and they spoke with us, and they were very informative also. They came back with $32,000 to move ahead with their report. And that's what they want, just to move ahead with the report to inform us of their findings. Now, Dan.
Kevin, on that 32,000, did you interpret that just that how much of a report did you interpret they're going to give us for that? I mean,
they did give a little they did give a little write-up on what they would do.
I mean, originally when they were there, we mentioned the property we have. We mentioned whether they were going to do an evaluation of the current building and whether it could be renovated, modified, or whatever, whether it needed to be replaced. And I'm wondering just like how far, and they also mentioned that they would, if they were in charge of the whole thing, I think that they would see about the permits and like oversee the construction of a new thing. And it's like, I'm wondering, how far do they go for 32,000, you know?
Well, H2M did say that they would use New York State building code requirements for fire stations as essential facilities. So as we're moving on with these other companies too, Russ, just from them, I think I learned a lot and questions that need to be asked while these guys are down here with us for the free consultation.
Yeah, that other one, they wanted money just to show up, right? The other.
Yes, the other group, the Mitchell,
He wanted a
Mitchell
couple.
wanted money just to come down.
Kevin, did you get?
For the benefit of everybody else that's listening, I find this, it's like none of us are, how can I say,
Engineers?
schooled in this, and it's kind of a difficult process to comprehend, what you need to ask and what you need to get out of them. It's almost like you're going into a foreign country or something and you don't understand the language, to me at least. And I know I'm getting foggy as I get older.
Well, no, Russ, you're right. But I think just from H2M coming down, that was definitely a learning curve for at least me.
Kevin, did you get your paperwork back that you loaned?
Yes, we did.
You did. Good. Okay.
Yep. So that's where we're at there, Steve.
All right. So I think,
And we're moving in the right direction, I believe.
yeah, I think we're making forward motion, and I think that's what important. And I think, I guess if there's no other business, really what I'd like to do is, open it up at this point to members of the public to see if they have any questions at all about the meeting, but specifically about, what Kevin was talking about. So,
Steve, I got to ask Rod a question.
go ahead.
Hey, Rod, your email, an awful lot of transmissions get bounced back at me. Is there, do you have a blocker?
No.
Yeah,
I do also have some issues trying to get through on email, Rod.
I don't have, you got the emails I sent you tonight?
Yeah, I did. I get them from you. You just don't get it from me.
Yeah.
But I usually have luck if I reply to you.
Oh.
I don't have luck if I start a new email.
Well, I sent you all an email tonight with the policy or something attached to it. Maybe Bob, if you use the reply rather than starting a new email.
okay, I'll do a chain. Okay,
Yeah, chain.
good enough.
All right. So unless anybody has any business
Steve,
issues, I would like to open it to the public.
Ma-
Elliot?
oh, Yeah, I just have a quick question. You're talking about renovating or rehabbing one of the bathrooms or right, the shower room.
Well, certainly upgrading it so it's usable.
Wouldn't it be better to hold off on that because there may be implications in terms of the expansion or renovation or whatever that we end up doing?
Right. And I hear what you're saying, but if we have a structure fire between now and whenever renovations may start, we still have that decon issue, I guess is my concern. So in my mind, safety of the members is, and adhering to the current decontamination standards is paramount.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with what Elliot said, but you don't want to put money into something you're going to replace. But like you say, because of the rules that they have there, that you don't want the person to get in his car and go home and stuff, and we can't foresee structure fires. It almost seems like we're forced to make those modifications to that bathroom presently so we can use it until something else comes up. Like I say, you hate to waste money, but I don't think we got an option here.
And it's not a lot of money.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it's and it's unpalatable to a certain extent. I agree. It's just like,
it's like
I don't
if
see
we
that we have an option.
Okay.
Wendy, do you have any questions? You're out there. You're a member of the public. I'll take that as a no. Okay, does anybody have any other concerns, issues, questions, or otherwise I would cover a motion to adjourn.
Steve, one thing that, as you know, we mentioned the mailer that the company does every year, which reports on the number of responses and calls that the company responded to for the year, and also utilizing that format for a attempted membership drive, if you would. We send these cards out. Sue and Bob, a great job on it, and reports on the facts of how things have been really turned around. And here's our response, basically 100%. And also saying, well, however, we still do need members. Contact us if whatever. And so it was mentioned during the meeting that, yeah, we were going to do that again. It's a great idea. It's great for the community. It's great PR, as we do need going forward for any endeavors of which we attempt or may look to be doing. Wondering if there was, the company is authorized. How much does the company authorize, Sue? Sue?
500.
500?
Sue's awake. Good morning, Sue. Wondering if the commissioners would like to enter in on this, have anything they think this would be worthy to use this mailer to augment what we already put in there.
Do we put the district?
My own opinion is dependent on the content. It's something that I would consider. If it leans too heavily towards company activities and fundraisers, I would think it would be inappropriate. But if it's basic intent.
There's no fundraisers on it. That's not what that format's for.
Right,
If we do a fundraiser.
I'm making that point. If it's pertinent to response percentages and new members, I don't think that would be inappropriate. Rod, do you want to weigh in on that?
Well, I think that's appropriate.
Okay. So I think if we can preview it first, we could vote more intelligently.
Okay, I have a question. I'm not following you completely, but I own some property up in Catskill, and there's a fire district up there at Kiskatoon. And yearly they send us a letter out telling us about their calls and stuff and asking for a donation. And if we send a letter out, I'm wondering, you list how many calls you went to and how much you done. And I think it's important to list it. I believe if you transport somebody to the hospital, that we don't charge them anything. And the benefit we're given to the public. And I think it's appropriate in there saying, if you wish to contribute to this volunteer fire department, it would be appreciated. I'd like to.
I totally disagree with you, Russ.
Okay, well, give me your reason.
Okay, our main goal is to study the facility and to look at the needs going forward of however that may be, whether it be renovation or rebuild. If somebody donates to the fire company, they kind of say, there, I've already done my bit there. What do you mean? I already gave to you. You're going to raise my taxes too? So it's the same reason why we don't send out a donation letter, haven't for years, because it gives a psychological implication for certain individuals who say, oh, I already gave to you. What do you mean you want to raise my taxes for a new building? I gave you $50.
I think anybody that views it that way is being very short-sighted myself.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, Russ, I couldn't agree with you more on that point, but it is a fact.
Well, I think also it would be inappropriate to solicit donations to have the district pay for that mailing or part.
Absolutely.
Rod's nodding in the affirmative. So I think it's something we would consider unless somebody, as long as we can preview it.
Absolutely preview it. It'd be very similar to what we did last year. And I have to give Sue a lot of kudos and here in the public forum, Sue, thank you so much for your work with that Sharon ambulance and bringing that forward. And thank you for all you've done for the rescue squad.
All right. And so I think I've written it on my notes for the January meeting. If you have a preview for January, we will talk about it.
Okay.
Will do.
All right. Anything else from anybody or else I covered a motion to adjourn?
Well, we
I
need
just-
that,
I-
we need that before the January meeting. Get it to Karen so she can put it in our folders so we can see it.
Good point.
Heather has something.
Yeah,
Heather-
yeah, I just
Heather.
have a couple of things, and I apologize if it should have been mentioned earlier. But in October, we held a blood drive with the American Red Cross. It was an successful blood drive, and the Red Cross asked if we would like to hold one again. They proposed the date for Saturday, April 24th. And I was just coming to ask if the facility was available that day, and if we could work with the Red Cross again for a blood drive.
I would move that we authorize the department to sponsor a blood drive with the American Red Cross on April 24th. I'm sorry. I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Kevin?
No, good.
Okay, I'll take that as an aye. Bob?
Hey,
Well, aye,
Aye.
yes.
Aye.
Steve,
Yeah.
excuse me, just a quick question. There needs to be a certain amount of time for people who gave before who may want to give again.
56 days.
Okay,
Yeah, our blood drive that we held in October, I donated at that drive, and I'm already eligible to donate now.
yeah, because I did too, and I'd want to go back. Okay,
Mhm.
all right,
All right. Russ?
Could I
sorry.
just ask a question? You mentioned Red Cross. There's another outfit that does it. What is it called? New York Blood something or?
The New York Blood Center.
Yeah, and I'm wondering why do we always go with one or for some reason, I can't remember why, but I had a negative feeling about the Red Cross and more positive about the New York Blood Center. And I can't remember what in the past.
The blood, Russell, I spoke with the people at the Blood Center with that question a couple of years ago. They don't come up this way because there's not enough people, apparently.
Well, they do come to Stanford, which is where typically I give blood.
Oh, do they go to Stanford?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't
Um,
aware of that.
And right, wrong, or indifferent, I mean, I think one of the organizations, the blood stays in the area more, and I'm not sure which one is which. So
I
we'd have
think
to
it's
do some
I think it's the the New York Blood Center is more localized.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think
Actually,
that's true.
my perception, my memory was the opposite, but I can't speak to
Oh.
that as fact, so I'm not going to.
Could be, all right.
Well,
So
I mean-
anyways, we were 60% of the way through the vote.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Russ, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Anything else, Heather?
Hey, you didn't get
Yeah, I
everybody's
did, do
vote.
you, Bob?
You did not.
All right, I'm sorry. What's your pleasure?
Aye.
That carries 4-0 with one hey, Karen. Heather, anything else?
Yeah, just one last quick thing. So just to plan ahead for the installation dinner for 2021, for the company to have the permission to move forward to schedule a date for Saturday, May 1st at the same venue we were at this past year, Les Chambord, where they're within all of the COVID-19 safety restrictions and social distancing and everything that's in place by the state. Just the okay to move forward with that, and that we would have the funds to apply towards that dinner.
Well, the funds are in the budget. Does anybody have any opposition to the May, what date?
May 1st.
May 1st date?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I mean, the funds are in the budget, so I don't see any reason why you couldn't proceed.
Okay.
Anybody have any opposition? Okay, anything else, Heather?
Nope, I'm done. Thank you.
All right, anything else from anybody else? Mike, do it.
I make, to adjourn the meeting, I make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
I need a second.
Second.
All right, and Bob, what's your pleasure?
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Russ?
I don't want to go away yet. Aye.
And I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Good job, people. Job well done.
Hey, Rod, where can I see the changes to that cancer law so that I have my brain around it?
Oh, I was trying to get it up while the meeting was going on and I couldn't find it, so I will send it to you.
Okay, yeah, and I'll pursue on that. But from what we said, looks like the whole smash, everybody. Everybody is covered.
Yeah, all right. And you're gonna
Okay.
contact Linda Flanagan.
Yep.
All right, good deal.
Okay.
Have a good night, people. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.